Hi everybody, it's Jakub again, and today I'll show you some problems relating to remainders. Right? Remainders. What are remainders? Remainders are basically a number. If you divide a natural number by another natural number and it's not divisible, it's not a multiple of that number, then something will remain. Right? Some bit will remain. So, for example, if you want to divide 13 by 4, 13 is not divisible by 4, not a multiple of 4. So you get 3 plus a bit, and that bit is 1. It's just what remains at the end after the division. And the remainder is really useful for two reasons. First of all, is when we multiply them, when we calculate them, we can actually do some tricks. So if we have a sum of two numbers and we want to calculate the remainder of the sum, then we can just take each number, replace it with the remainder, and then add those numbers, and maybe we'll need to calculate the remainder again because this number is bigger than it needs to be. Then they are also useful when you're talking about not really caring about the result of the division, but caring about only what's left, right? By the way, what I said before about sum is also true for product. So if you have a product of two numbers or more, and then we can replace each part of the product, each number, with its remainder, and then multiply those and maybe calculate the remainder. For example, if you have 13 times 21, but you only care about the remainder of 4, you don't really need to calculate what 13 times 21 is to find that out, because you know the remainder of 13 in division by 4 is 1, because it's 12 plus 1, and the remainder of 21 in division by 4 is also 1, because it's 20 plus 1. So we replace 13 by 1, and 21 also replaced by 1, so you just get 1 times 1, so remainder is 1. So calculating remainders, there are some tricks, there are some tips, and we will go through things like this. But let's focus on the main application. Like, the really good application of remainders is calculating time. We are asking what time will it be in 2020 hours from now. So let's assume it's 4 p.m. right now. If you're watching this video later, then it might be any time. But if you're in the math circle, then it's probably just before 4. So 4 p.m. is a good approximation. Right, it's 16 hours after midnight. In certain countries, they always use a full hour, so they use hours, a 24-hour system from 1 to 24. Here it's 4 p.m., but let's remember it's 16 hours after midnight in case that comes useful. And we are only caring about what hour will it be, what time it will be. We don't care about how many days pass in those 2020 hours, right? So a day has 24 hours. We are not asking about what day it will be, just the hour. So let's see that we can basically express 2020 as n, which is number of days, times 24 plus k, which is the number of remaining hours, right? So this is days, and we don't care how many of them there are. And k is number of hours, something we do care about, okay? So what you need to do is basically you need to calculate a remainder of 2020 in division by 24. If you do that, what we get is k, which is number of hours, which is what you want, right? We need a remainder of 2020 in division by 24. This is how many hours we need to add to 4 p.m. because we then say how many hours later in the day we will be in 2020 hours, which is k. But then we just need to add it to 4 p.m. because it's 4 p.m. right now, more or less. Okay, so how do we do this? Is we notice first, we can do some tricks. There are multiple ways of doing that. We can notice that 24 times 4 is 96, which is 100 minus 4. So a remainder of 100 in division 24 is 4. What that means is that we can always replace 100 with a 4 when calculating remainder modulo in division by 24. So let's do that. Let's write down that 2020 is 20 times 100 plus 20, because this is just a decimal system, and we can replace that with 4. So what we're left with is 20 times 4 plus 20. We just replaced this 100 with a 4, and we can replace the numbers with a product and with a sum with its remainder, so this is completely normal. So what we get is 100. So we know that the remainder of 2020 in division by 24 is the same as the remainder of 100 in division by 24. And this is the case that I mentioned. Is not that this is the remainder, it's just the remainder of this number is also the remainder of the number that we had originally, right? And the remainder of this number is 4 because we've already found that out, right? So we can replace 100 with a 4 again, but that is it. This is the remainder modulo 24. And what we know is that we need to then add 4 to 4 p.m. and we get that it's going to be 8 p.m. in 2020 hours. We don't know how many days will pass, but we don't need to know. It is going to be about like 80 days or something, but it's not going to impact what time it will be. We know what time it will be, unless maybe there's like a time change. They should really get rid of those. Alright, and see you in the next example, and good luck.